Hello, I'm Tom Carnell. Welcome to a special Saturday show of Carnell Knowledge. In this episode, I'm going to do a bit of a countdown on the top 20 films that influenced me, both as a person and as a writer and as a film goer and film aficionado. Now, on any given day, you can ask me about this list. You could ask me about this list in a half hour, and I'm going to give you a completely different list. But this is a sort of a capsule of time that will give you sort of where my head is at. A couple of ground rules. I've cheated a little by splitting some of the numbers up into two films that are they'll be sort of related, so related that it was hard to split them up. So the first thing I'm going to do is give you, looks like six honorable mentions. Things that almost made the list, probably could have made the list, maybe should have made the list, but they didn't for whatever reason. I'm going to do that vinyl community thing where I hold up things as proof of life, but some of this stuff is really cool. Things I've collected over the years that are pretty groovy. Let's see. First, I think I've talked about this film before. This is The First Samurai. It is a collection of the Toshiro Mifune movies about Miyamoto Musashi. This is a set I picked up. I think it was at Suncoast back in the day. It has Miyamoto Musashi duel at Ichijoji Temple and the duel at Ganryu Island. This is great stuff. Heavily influenced me as a film goer, and it, along with a couple of other things I'm going to mention, really ignited my love for the sword. Speaking of which, this almost made it. I know it's a Tom Cruise film. Don't get upset about that. This is a great film. Made wholly great, both by the direction and by Ken Watanabe's performance in this. I like this movie. I'm going to go ahead and say it. There were moments where I kind of welled up a little bit. Great stuff. Say what you want about Tom Cruise, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I am a fan. Back when we did the bonus material podcast, you can find links to all of that stuff up on my website. We did an entire episode on Tom Cruise, and I vociferously defended the man. Let's see. We've talked about this film before. Nacho Cerda's Aftermath and Genesis. Beautiful film. Genesis is a beautiful film. Aftermath, not so much. Aftermath is a rough road to hoe. We've talked about it. This film showed me that you could get away with even the most disgusting things. But Aftermath I'm talking about. Even the most disgusting things, and still tell a great story and tell it with flair. Great stuff there. This is going to come as no surprise. Fight Club. Fight Club really rocked my world with both the idea of its anti-commercialism, but also the idea that of things that a writer can do to sort of spin things on its corner with just a single line or towards the very end. It's fun. This is a really sweet supplemental collection that we got. My wife loves this movie, which is a little disturbing. This is one of her comfort films, which is even more disturbing. Let's see. Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. Now, most people would argue that George Romero's Dawn of the Dead deserves this place than this one. But I'm going to go on a limb, and I've said this on podcasts before, and it drew audible gasp. I think this is a better film, capital F film, than Romero's. Romero's film, wonderful, blah, 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 but man, does it ever lose me at the momentum-killing pie fight? It just seems like they got bored and they just added it, and it does absolutely nothing to further the narrative. This holds together more as a film, and yeah, you're going to come at me in the comments maybe, but I'm going to stand by this because I've defended it on podcasts. I'm happy to defend it again. I think this film, the effects are better, the momentum is better, the characterizations are better, and yeah, say what you will about this. A lot of people kind of dump on this one, but I'm going to stand by my statement. And then finally, something else I believe I talked about, Buckaroo Banzai. Showed me that you could get away with comedy without mugging at the camera. It showed me that you could do sci-fi, you could blend sci-fi and mystery and superhero action and all that other stuff, that you could sort of blend it all together. Great film. W.D. Richter, I've spoken before about the sequel, the book sequel, and I stand by that I highly recommend that. Okay, on to our list. Let's start at number 20. In 1999, The Matrix. Directed by the Wachowskis, starring Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne. We all know The Matrix. We all know what it's about how a hacker is introduced to a world within a world, sort of the real world and the simulated world. See the book Simulacrum for more on that. This is the pinnacle of sci-fi adventures, in my opinion. It's a thought-provoking story. I still think about it. I still think about how the slow rollout and the introduction of an interesting premise that gets suddenly dropped away and gives us an even more interesting premise. And the martial arts were really cool. From everything from bullet time to the animated of the Squiddies to just all of the above. A great film. I don't need to tell you, you've undoubtedly seen it. But for me, it was super influential, and hence its inclusion. 20B, John Wick. Directed by Chad Stahelski, starring Keanu Reeves and Michael Nyqvist. We all know this. We've seen all of the sequels. I think this is important in that, like, let's say Enter the Dragon, that it redefined what action cinema can be. We were sort of rumbling along at a certain point, kind of happy with things like, the Jean-Claude Van Dammes and the Steven Seagals, and all that other, Chuck Norris's and all that other stuff. But this showed us that not only can fight scenes be kinetic, but it could also be brutal and thought-provoking and just plain cool. I'll be honest, in the sequels, they lost me a little bit at the ballistic suit. I thought that was super convenient and undoubtedly came about after smoking some weed. None of it makes sense. And so that was the thing that began the drift. The more and more it left that grounded world of reality. But this one is the bomb. Moving on, 19A and 19B, Alien and Aliens. Alien, 1979, directed by Ridley Scott, starring Sigourney Weaver, Tom Skerritt, Yaphet Kotto, and a bunch of other people. We all know the story of this. A truly scary alien now is a truly scary haunted house in space. Film that we had never seen before. We had never seen anything like it before. We've seen plenty like it since then. Event Horizon comes to mind. But it was also the first thing that showed us that space wasn't all neat and clean, like, let's say, 2001: A Space Odyssey and a couple of other things. And H.R. Giger, his design on the alien was innovative and it was groundbreaking. Just a terrific flick. I saw this at a drive-in theater back when it first came out. That tells you a little bit. And then also Aliens, a 1986 Jim Cameron film, another genre-defining science fiction action film. Perfectly cast, perfect performances, excellent pacing, highly quotable. I remember seeing this in a theater at Cinema 150 in Santa Clara, California, and it was a hoot. We almost got kicked out because we were banging on chairs and screaming and just having a hell of a time. Ended up going back numerous times to that theater and seeing this. So Alien and Aliens, awesome stuff. Number 18, 2001, Brotherhood of the Wolf, Christoph Gantz's film starring Samuel Le Bihan and Mark Dacascos. Synopsis is, in the 18th century, the Chevalier de Fronsac and his Native American friend Manny are sent to the Gavardin province at the king's behest to investigate the killings of people by a mysterious beast. A beautifully rendered film. Interesting in its premise, interesting in its rollout. It's a delightful mix of period piece and martial arts epic. The fight in the rain is worth the price of admission, and it was a career-making role for Mark Dacascos. Vincent Cassel is in this, and he's really, really good in it. If you haven't seen this, boy, what are you waiting for? This is something that's going to really change your life. Absolutely fantastic. Next up, 1964. This is number 17. Masaki Kobayashi's Kwaidan. Kobayashi also did the great film that almost made this list, Harakiri, and that was also remade by the legendary Takashi Miike. This is a collection of 4 Japanese folk tales with supernatural overtones. The film's a little stage-bound, but my impression was that it was meant to be. It sort of played with Japanese stage storytelling and cinema storytelling. Again, genre passed through cultural prisms. It's a big thing on this show. Beautiful. There are shots of this that are just absolutely stunning, but while still being scary. And all the tales are well told, and they are just fantastic. If you haven't seen Kwaidan, what are you waiting for? That it is really something special. A lot of it has been remade, but yeah, wonderful stuff. Number 16. I've talked about this film before. Dorm. AKA Decor from 2006, directed by Songyo Sugmaken. It tells the tale of a boy who is sent to an all-boys school that may or may not be haunted. It is, again, more genre passed through a cultural lens. There are some genuinely frightening moments of this. There's a scene where the boy gets up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and as he's standing at the urinal, the light is behind him, and you can see shadowy hands coming up over his shoulder. That is so creepy. It captures the horrors of being not only sent to a boys' school, but also the powerlessness of being a child. I love this film. I never see people talk about this, but if you like ghost stories and you like things that aren't things jumping out at you and that kind of a thing, this is just a slowly paced, very methodic ghost story that I absolutely love. Number 15, another film we've talked about here before, from 1968, Peony Lanterns, aka Bride from Hades, aka Botandoru, directed by Setsuo Yamamoto. The synopsis is, on the night of the Summer Obon Festival, Hagawara Shinzaburo meets a beautiful courtesan named Otsuyu. Not knowing she's a ghost, he becomes infatuated and falls in love. It's a beautiful Kwaidan, which is not what I just talked about, but by that I mean a Japanese ghost story. I stumbled upon this on Tubi, and I was blown away. Immediately fell in love with the film, and it immediately made enough of my list to be included here. Excellent performances, even though I could have done without some of the comedic overtones, but that was sort of the fashion back then. Genuinely unnerving, while still being sort of beautiful. There are some makeup effects in that are fantastic. They're very subtle. They're done like the old school way with shifts in lighting and that kind of a thing. Absolutely great. Absolutely great. Number 14. This is going to come as no surprise. 1973, Enter the Dragon. Robert Klaus directed it. Bruce Lee, John Saxon, Jim Kelly. We all know this story. It's been ripped off 1,000 times via things like Bloodsport or any kind of competition martial arts movie. This is an important film in my life. I saw it when I was just a young lad, And Lee quickly became a seminal figure in my life, started my love of martial arts, prompted me to annoy all of my teachers by going like Bruce Lee, right? Set the model for everything, again, from Bloodsport to Mortal Kombat. It's Lee at his pinnacle, and it's just a cracker of a story. Real quick story time about this film. I was at a Fangoria convention years ago, and one of the guests was John Saxon. And it was an honor to meet him. He signed some things for me and was a genuinely nice guy. But we're in a room with a couple hundred people, and everyone, he had given his little introductory speech, and they opened it up to Q&A. Everyone was there to talk about, we had an hour in the room. So everyone was there to talk about, the Cannibal Apocalypse or Nightmare on Elm Street or that kind of thing. But I was in the front. I had my press credential on. Boom, my hand goes up. And I asked him about this. And he talked for about 45 minutes about working with Bruce Lee and what it was like to film, and what rumors were true, what weren't true, how on a daily basis stunt people would come up to Bruce Lee and say, like, I don't think you're as good as you people say you are, and they challenged him to a fight. Most of the time he would demur, but every once in a while he would take the person away where no one could watch because he didn't want all pictures or any of that other stuff, and he would whoop their ass and come back like nothing happened. It was a great time. I later spoke at length with Saxon more about Lee, and yeah, kind of a funny thing. Everyone in the room was a little ticked off because they didn't get to ask their Freddy question. All right, so number 13, Young Frankenstein. Mel Brooks directed, Gene Wilder, Terry Garr, Marty Feldman, the great Madeline Kahn. One of the few examples where horror and comedy actually work. This is an homage to the James Whale film, and hilarious and moody and very inside baseball. Like, you could tell that Wilder and Brooks had watched the Frankenstein films again and again, and they were pulling subtle references, and just great stuff. I love this film, highly quotable, right out, let's see, finally, and again, a perfect cast performing a perfect script. Here's the one where I really cheated. This covers a variety of years, from 1962 to 1989. They're the Zatoichi films. They star Shintaro Katsu, who we're going to talk about his brother-in-law in a minute, in the next bunch of films. But this series of films, there's 25 of them. And there's a couple of TV series, which some of them count, some of them don't count. They're about a blind masseur who is also a master swordsman. The list is really long, and I'm going to spare you going through all the titles. But it was a super influential series for me. There is a matter of diminishing returns as the series goes along. And let's be fair, when you get to number 20, 21, 22 in the series, it's hard to be inventive. They manage it in a lot of different ways, but just awesome. These things are so great. They're endearing, they're fun, and the swordsmanship is top drawer. Shintaro Katsu is perfect. So much of the other performances that have been done over the years fall far short. In this, the character seems bumbling and sort of oafish, and then he's pushed beyond his line, and the sword comes out of his cane, and people just fall like wheat. Great stuff. It was remade at some point. I think I talked about it also on another episode with Rutger Hauer as a film called Blind Fury. Just fantastic. You can kind of grab at random. They're not done in any order where you have to have seen the fifth one to understand the sixth one. And they're all kind of formulaic, but it doesn't matter. You're on for the ride, you strap in, and you have just a great time. The Zatoichi films, I don't know that there is a collection that with all of them, but man, there should be. There really should be. Number 11, we're going to go with another cheat. Oops. And that is the 5 Lone Wolf and Cub films. Sword of Vengeance in 72, Baby Cart on the River Styx also in 72, Baby Cart to Hades 72. Think about that. They released 3 of these in 1 year. Actually, there's 4 of them. I take that back. Baby Cart in Peril. 73 was Baby Cart in the Land of Demons. And then 74 was White Heaven and Hell. Years later, an American company would take pieces of the first 2 and cut them together into a film called Shogun Assassin, which hence here. These things are awesome. They are super fun chambara, which are Japanese sword epics. Really important for me. I love the manga for the first time I got my mitts on it. And then I saw the films and just absolutely fell in love. Influenced so many other films that came after it and really showed something new for American audiences. I grew up in an area with a rather thriving Japantown, and it was a video store I used to go to and rent videos, and these were among the first that were pushed on me and pushed. They were like, you should watch this, and I snapped the first one up, and I was like Oliver coming back the next day with my credit card in hand going, please, can I have some more? Just truly terrific. Number 10. 7. Directed by David Fincher, starring Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman. We all know what this is. This is a film that redefined noir for me. Solid performances, pitch perfect casting. There's a kind of dark beauty to this film that is just enticing, and it just enraptures. It seemed, the weird thing for me was that it seemed like this could kind of happen. It does blend, the villain does tend to be a little too omnipotent. But what was interesting was that how it took him from being this omnipotent killer to just this almost pathetic guy. And that ending was something else. It's absolutely beautiful. I know some people that were involved in making effects for this, particularly the strap-on device for Lust, and they were deeply, even in making the film, they were deeply affected by it. If you haven't seen this, I don't know what to say. It's not for the faint of heart, but it is absolutely fantastic. Now, here comes all the big show and tells. Number 9, 1982, Blade Runner. Directed by Ridley Scott, starring Harrison Ford and Rutger Hauer. We all know the story of this. The most important science fiction film, in my opinion, in history. It has influenced most of the artists that I know. It influenced me certainly as far as mood and also as far as world building goes. The production design alone is phenomenal. There's not a bad performance in it. If you're interested in this film, check out Paul Samon's book, Future Noir. That's pretty cool. One of the things I picked up over the years was this, which is a 5-disc ultimate collection. It has like multiple versions of it. And it came in this. This is it was called the Esper edition. I'm gonna open this up. And if you look inside, there are everything from production sketches, I should have probably pulled these out, to lobby cards. There's a still of the film, and then it also comes with this, which is a spinner car, like a Matchbox car, and also an origami unicorn. This I got when it first came out. There was only a few of them. I don't know if these are numbered or not. I don't think so. It comes in this really cool little case, and you can kind of see there what's all in it. And that gives you a little indication about how I feel about this film. Absolutely fantastic. I don't know what to say. If you haven't seen Blade Runner, come on. Up next, number 8. Apocalypse Now. Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Sheen, Marlon Brando, another epic. It's an important film made given the time. It was post-Vietnam. There's a dreamlike quality to this that is really fantastic. Coppola it was a troubled production. It damn near killed Martin Sheen, and it almost killed Francis Ford Coppola. There's a great documentary you can find called Hearts of Darkness, and it's fantastic. The script gets a little muddied toward the end, I think, but you kind of forgive it because the first 2 acts are so solid. If you're interested, you can go out on YouTube and find Ernie Foselius, who did a Star Wars parody film called Hardware Wars, did a Apocalypse Now parody, and it's called Pork Lips Now. It stars the actor who played Bud in Father Knows Best, and it's awesome. It's awesome. It's very funny, very inside baseball. Yeah, check it out. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube pretty quickly. Number 7, 1982, John Carpenter's The Thing, starring Kurt Russell and Keith David. This film was way better than it deserved to be, given the original book, which I had also reviewed on this channel, but also the original The Thing from Outer Space 1950s version. The effects on this film are legendary, deservedly so. The storytelling is taut, it's full of mystery, it never wavers. It's so well laid out that there is a video I've seen, I believe it's on YouTube, that it tracks. It's an overhead sort of architect sketch, and it sort of tracks where all of the characters go, and it sort of details where each one of them was assimilated. The ending, I love the arguments back and forth on the ending, whether Childs was had been taken over, or even if Kurt Russell's character had been taken over. I love the arguments back and forth on that. It is just an amazing, amazing, amazing film. Number 6, The Godfather. Francis Ford Coppola, the first one was made in 1972. The second one was made in 1974. We all know the stories of this. We're not going to talk about number 3 just because, although, there are moments to number 3 that are really quite good. Andy Garcia is terrific in it. I don't know what De Niro was doing. I don't know why Sofia Coppola was there. But the first 2 of these are bangers. If you can find it, there's a version of this called The Godfather Saga that takes part 2 and splits it up and tells the entire story from Vito Corleone's beginning, which is from part 2, through The Godfather, and then it tells the rest of it. Let's see. 2 of the greatest films, I think, in cinema. I did a story at one point that detailed the opening scene, the This Is America, the Buenos Aires scene, and I mashed it up. I do stories once in a while and release them for free around Christmas time, and it mashed up that with Santa, and I'll leave that to you to find. Iconic. It's one of my top 10 films, of course, and even the book. I read the book first because I was too young to go see the movie. My mom wouldn't let me go. Yeah, the book was fantastic. I just found the book on Kindle for super, super cheap, and you'll be seeing that coming up on the show coming up. Let's see, number 5, 2010. The film is called Agiosi, aka The Man from Nowhere. I've talked about this film before. Easily one of the best action films of all time, at least in the top 10. Certainly top 5 knife fighting scenes. Solid performances, especially the lead, Wu Bin. it had been, I learned recently that it had been remade in India by director Nishkant Kamath, and the film in 2016. The film was called Rocky Handsome. You can find clips of that, I'm sure, on YouTube. I love this film. I think it's got a big heart, and I think the knife fighting is well worth the price of admission. Number 4, another film I've talked about here before. Hirokazu Koreeda's Afterlife. Just a beautiful film, unsung title in a stellar director's filmography. I think, as I said before when I talked about this, the faces in this thing, I'm a big fan of just faces. You can tell, they say that a person earns their face. They say that you can tell a person's life by the lines in their face. And this film really delivers it. Most of its problems, if there are any flaws, are because of budget. But boy, this film, I just absolutely love it. And again, we don't hear people talking about it. I know I say that a lot on this channel, but it's the truth. Check it out. You can find it pretty readily. Number 3, 2006, The Fall. I talked about this on the channel as well, of course. I love this film. I think it's one of the most beautiful films ever made. Great performances, particularly the child, Katinka Untaru. It's such an honest, unaffected bit of acting. It's unspools like a fairy tale, and I'm not sure what happened to Tarsem Singh after this. A lot of his films like Immortals, and then there's a few others before he moved on to doing some TV. But this and The Cell, both of those I think are highly recommended. The Cell could have made this list super easy. This is just absolutely fantastic. Getting down to the final 2. This is not going to surprise many people, but 1954, White Christmas. I know. Directed by the great Michael Curtiz, starring Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney, and the great Vera Ellen. I love this film, full stop. We watch it every Christmas. We watched it for every Christmas since my kids were little, and they're now in their 30s. What do you say? There's just so much to absolutely love. Every dance sequence, every song sequence is beautifully rendered. I mean, just Vera Ellen and John Brascia in the Abraham. Look that up, White Christmas Abraham, and you will be blown away. It just captivates me and claims my heart every single time I see it. The performances are great. I quote this film all the time. I know it's kind of a surprise that a guy like me would love this film so much and it would be so high on my list, but what can I tell you? This and the number 1 film, whenever someone asks me what my favorite film of all time is, this is one of them, and then this is the other. Let's see. Number 1A and 1B. 1A, 1968, George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, starring Dwayne Jones, Judith O'Dea. 1B, Night of the Living Dead, 1990, directed by Tom Savini, starring Tony Todd, Patricia Tallman, and Tom Towles. Let's start with the 1968 version. A classic, and one that for me started it all. I was a film fan growing up, as I previously talked about on this channel. I grew up with a mom who would not only play a lot of music in the house, but movies. We watched movies all the time. I always talk about how I was lucky and I didn't feel lucky at the time, but yeah, it was a real boon for me to have to sit down and watch things that I may not have appreciated at the time, but years later they would come back to me and be deeply rewarding. This was a clarion call for genre. It's, in my opinion, a perfect film. It's one of the films that Bob Wilkins, the great Bob Wilkins, who I consider to be a mentor, used to play on Creature Features, and I absolutely love it. Catch me sometime. I have a very off-color story that I won't share with you here about this film. I've been lucky, again, to have met and interviewed most of the Romero luminaries. and they've all been just fantastic, very, very giving in their chats. And I am honored that now there are a few of them that I consider friends. Just an absolutely fantastic film, and just terrific. Moving on to 1990, Tom Savini's Night of the Living Dead. When this came out, I expected to hate it. I mean, how dare they? It was my empty-headed posturing, but quite the opposite. I love this film. I think that it's different enough that it takes a novel spin on a story that I thought that I hadn't known. The changes they make were mostly appreciated. And I'll tell you, the effects company Optic Nerve, rest in peace, John Vulich, are some of the best looking zombies. I've been around a lot of dead people, and this has the most realistic looking dead people that I've seen. I might include some of the ones in Zack Snyder's film as well. It's perfectly cast. At the time, after it came out, I had hoped that they would have given Tom Savini more opportunities to direct. Excuse me. But that never came to happen, and I don't know why. He's a capable director, and all the times that he has been given the helm of something, he's handled it quite well. This film has some real subtlety to it. The B-level cast, like William Butler's great in this movie. The lady who plays Mrs. Cooper is fantastic in this movie. I wish they would have given, again, I would have loved to have seen, could you imagine Tom Savini's Dawn of the Dead? I mean, just think about that for a second. So I don't get it, but okay, cool. It's here and it's available. You can find it out there fairly cheaply now. It's sort of dropped in price. And there you go. Top 20. Coming in a little longer than I thought I was going to, but there you go. I'm going to do more of these. I have a whole list of topics that once in a while I'll be dropping these on the weekends. I don't want to interrupt the flow of the Monday, Wednesday, Friday show. If you haven't watched those, please go and watch those. They're every show I review/recommend 5 movies, a book, and 5 records. And hopefully they are things that are off the beaten path, things that not everyone is talking about, and things that you may or may not have heard of. But they're out there. There's so much music and so many movies out there and so many books that it's tough to find them and cover them all. But again, I did another one of these specials called Time in the Chair that talks a little bit about why that is. So we'll keep doing these as long as people like them. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like the video, do all the things you know you're supposed to do. But by all means, if you would please share these to your social media, I would be most appreciative. And that's going to do it. We will see you on Monday. I hope your weekend is going well. Here it's in Bellingham, it's rainy, and my dog is back from back surgery, and she's getting better. So all is right in my world. So until I talk to you on Monday, have a good weekend.